Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, my name is Amanda.
I'm Rashawn.
And together we are Natural Moms Greens. So today we're going to talk about something a little different, maybe a little controversial. First off, we'd like to say that this video isn't attacking anyone. It is not meant to call anybody out. It's really just meant to open up a dialogue about being more inclusive in the plant-based community. So Rashawn, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, so I guess when you want to be inclusive, you want to include all people trying to be plant-based and want to get into the whole veganism diets or just plant-based, mostly plant-based, and try not to be so, I guess, judgmental towards the ones that still eat meat, still eat cheese, but are trying to be plant-based, so.
Right, and I think too it's important to maybe quickly define plant-based and vegan, because I know we use the words interchangeably a lot, but they don't exactly mean the same thing. So when you say a starter guide to mostly plant-based living, plant-based referring to our diet. So we're eating foods that are primarily vegetable-based, no animal products. Now people that are vegan don't have animal products in their life at all. So no leather shoes, no leather couches, cars, that's a big thing. Obviously not eating any animal products, dairy, meat, fish. So, to be vegan
that's vegan?
That's vegan, because vegan is your whole lifestyle is free of any animal product.
Seems a little extra. No vegan, no leather in your car?
No, I guess I don't know, yeah, no leather in the car.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I guess you should get a cloth seat.
That's a little too much.
You think that's too much for you?
That's too much.
Okay, vegans don't attack us. Rashawn, why do you feel like that's too much?
Vegans don't attack us, please. But it's... I feel like it's too much just because of the fact that we live... if animals could, they would eat us. If they were smart enough to use our skin, if they were smart enough to use our skin as purses and bags and shit,
you think they would kill us and make us in the bag?
Yes, why wouldn't they? We're doing it to them.
That's a good point.
We're animals. We're just mammals. So
we're living
if they were smart enough.
No, but listen. Okay, let me play devil's advocate. Let me counter on behalf of the vegans. I got you covered. Look, animals, are at a disadvantage in this world where humans are making an impact, right? So we're not only, back in when the Native Americans owned their land before it was stolen, when they would kill, say a buffalo, they would use every single part of the buffalo, and that's why they created leathers and things like that, because they didn't want to be wasteful of that meat. They wanted to honor that animal by using all of the animal,
right.
And not being wasteful.
Right.
So the Native Americans had a good relationship with the animals and with the land, because they took what they needed to and they used all of it, as opposed to now where people are eating meat and they're taking the parts that they wanted to eat and then they're discarding the rest of it, while there are people starving all over the world.
McDonald's.
McDonald's what?
That's
the slime. Okay,
that's
that's true. Not to say that it's only prime meat, but I'm saying when they breed chickens now, they pump them with hormones because people want white meat chicken. Mm-hmm. So these chickens have huge breasts and they literally can't even walk, and they're sitting in their own excrement because they're being so pumped with hormones because there's a demand for white meat chicken, right? So they're not even, and they're just discarding the rest. They're not using chicken feathers and bags or whatever.
Right.
I just went on a really big tangent. But my point was to say that what we do as humans has such a big impact on the animals, whether the animals want or not. Animals are in a vulnerable position because, they can't communicate with language. They don't have, they don't have armies. They have herds and packs, but they don't have weapons, they don't have thumbs,
unless you're in the territory where you're humans aren't supply. If you're let's say you're in the water, right, and you got a cut on your leg, you're bleeding, the shark come bite you and it eat your foot, eat your leg.
Yeah,
that's instinctual.
Is that what you meaning by saying animals would eat us?
Yeah,
or they would definitely eat us, but I don't know if they would make us into handbags.
Nah, if they were as evolved as us, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that's what I was trying to get at, is that like animals, obviously, like we are like humans, we're just like evolved animals, but like most animals aren't that evolved, where their actions can make a serious impact on us. Right. However, every action we make makes an impact on them, right, because you know, we're killing the environment. Like
every action we make makes an impact on the whole world.
On the whole world. I mean, like, if you think about it, like
it affects it
meat production alone, like it's so unsustainable. It's so harsh on our environment to have like these factory farms. Like we're using up all these emissions by driving a bunch of cars. Like literally every single action, you know, we're throwing plastic in the ocean and like fish are choking on it. Like everything we do is having an impact on them and not necessarily the other way around. So I think that's why we can say like, okay, would a cow make us an impact if it was evolved? Like maybe, but also like, does that make it okay to wear the handbag? Like I don't know.
Right.
I think
would I wear a human handbag? If I was a serial killer, yeah, probably.
You're like Dexter. Okay, back on topic. Sean's not a serial killer, please.
I'm not.
Anyway, nice. We're gonna cut that out. Okay, so that's the big definition between plant-based and vegans. Plant-based people, they're not eating any animal products, and then vegan people are not eating animal products, and they're not like consuming or purchasing any animal products or animal like leather goods. Right. So yeah, when we came out with Natural Mama's Greens, the reason why we said mostly plant-based living, like we were very intentional with those words. Mm-hmm. It's like plant-based meaning like we are focused on the food, like we're focused on not eating animal products, and then the mostly in parentheses because we wanted to like give some more space for ourselves to like be human and evolve like in this process. Like right. We are not always perfect. Like there hasn't been any time where we've been like 100% like perfect plant-based eating. You know, not really even primarily out of want. I think it's more so out of necessity. Like we're still living in a world that is shifting to be more inclusive of plant-based and vegan people, but you know, it's still really hard to get everything you need as a plant-based person sometimes, especially when we're looking at things like, you know, resources economically. Like I can go to Whole Foods all day, I love their products, but like it's so expensive for me to buy every single thing from Whole Foods, like every single thing, like gluten-free, vegan, whatever, because of that price tag. You know, I make it work by being savvy, but like that definitely is a huge barrier in people being totally plant-based or being totally vegan is money. You know, like if you buy, there's like $12 smoothies, like who can afford that?
I think most of what draws people away from being plant-based and vegan is the pressure.
And that's the thing too, and that's what the mostly plant-based was about, because we wanted to create a community where there wasn't any judgment if you slipped up and you ate like a beef taco. Like, you know, there wouldn't be any judgment if you bought a leather bag. Like we really wanted to create a space where people who were either just thinking about going plant-based needed help, like that's really like who we're focused on, but also people who are like, you know, I like to eat some tofu sometimes, but you know, I also still eat steak. There are a lot of people that have told me like, oh, you know, I eat mostly plant-based, but sometimes I'll still have like a burger or something. Or, you know, we were talking to someone at the market the other day and he was like, you know, if you're vegetarian and you eat chicken, like you should still try to be vegetarian. Like don't give up on being vegetarian because one day you ate a piece of chicken. Like, and I think that is what this community is really missing, is honest conversation around the plant-based and vegan lifestyles, because there can be a lot of judgment and there can be a lot of fear of like, oh, if I don't do this perfectly, can I not do it at all? And we don't believe that that's the case, and that's really the trend that we want to start in this community.
And we even want to get to the people who call themselves carnivores. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Humans aren't carnivores, so don't call yourself carnivorous or whatever.
Yeah, but I think also there are like so many people who, what I found mostly through dating, but just like the easiest way to influence someone is by example. Like when people see me eating plant-based and they see me doing this work with Natural Mama's Greens, like I never say, oh, like you shouldn't be eating that. You know, we also want to speak to the people that became vegan or became plant-based because of their love of animals. First and foremost, we're animal lovers, we're cat owners. My goal for the end of the year is to have all my products be cruelty free, because honestly, I kind of dumbly assumed that they were already cruelty free, and so I'm having to go back and like repurchase a lot of like beauty products. Like,
ooh.
I know, but I'm on the journey, guys. That's something that's really important to me, because honestly, before this year, I didn't even know about like animal testing. Like, I wasn't like super in the know about how that process worked until I saw this video on Dodo, and they got like, little like wiener dogs, like the Dachshunds, I think that's their proper term. But those dogs in China actually are used to test cosmetics, and like they're in terrible conditions. Like, they don't get to touch grass and go for walks. Like, their whole life is spent in a cage. This one dog that was adopted in that video actually went blind because they were testing products in the dog's eyes. So I 100% don't support animal cruelty, and like I'm not buying any products where companies test on animals, because I think that is something that we have to consider in this lifestyle as being ethical in treating animals fairly. But again, not everyone is there yet, right? Like, I haven't eaten meat in 4 years, but I'm just now learning about animal testing. Like, I'm just now learning about purchasing cruelty-free products. So like, that's an example of how we're all on like that journey to learn more and to do better as we do learn more. But again, not judge people along the way, because you might not have known that until just now about how these dogs are used in China to test products in animals. And by the way, if a company sells beauty products in China, they're automatically not cruelty-free, because the Chinese government requires companies to test cosmetics on animals. So that's a fun fact for you all who are looking to go on that cruelty-free journey, and I'd be happy to eventually make a video about that. Yeah, not necessarily Chinese, but like a brand can be in the US and in China. So even if they're cruelty-free here, they're not cruelty-free in China.
So it's a Chinese brand or just a Chinese factory?
No. So like, say I'm Fenty Beauty, right? Like, I can sell in the US, but I can also sell in China. So I'm not a Chinese brand, but I'm selling in that market. And because I'm selling in that market, I have to test on animals for the products that are going to China. Because that government requires that those products be tested on animals.
You got some animal makeup.
If your products are probably tested on animals, yeah, definitely. So that is a reason that a lot of people expect perfectionism in the vegan community, because they're saying like, we do not accept like any form of cruelty on animals. But there are a lot of different reasons that people become vegan or plant-based. For myself, it was based on health, and for Rashawn as well, but I also take in consideration the environmental impact of eating animal products, and also the damage that's done to animals when we test on them. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Our card filled up. We have to do a quick delete and come back, but we're here. So yeah, where were we?
I'm not sure what I was talking about.
We were like in the middle of the sentence. We'll just jump to the next part of the conversation. So yeah, there definitely tends to be a lot of judgment in the plant-based community, in the vegan community, and I feel like that works against the movement, because when you're judging someone, you're shunning them, and you're not showing empathy for them. You're not remembering when you were in their shoes, when you were trying to go plant-based and you didn't know what to do, or when you didn't have the money to get the healthiest foods that you needed. You're not putting yourself back in those shoes. The easiest way to get someone on your side is to like empathize with them. It's to meet them where they are and help them find a solution to get to where they want to be. And you have to also come to terms with the fact that not everybody's gonna want to be vegan. Like, even if they eat vegan sometimes, like even if they think it's a great lifestyle, not everyone's goal is to necessarily get there.
Right.
Some people's goal is to kind of remain in the in-between. I will say that when I first went vegetarian, so I started off with just like no meat basically, and when I first went vegetarian, I think my goal was to be vegan. Now I don't know if that's necessarily a goal. I think that make that always like that's always like the measure of success that I have. Like I want to always try to get as close to there as possible, like in how I live my life. But like I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, like I'm not a perfect vegan, so like I'm failing, like I'm not meeting a goal, or like giving myself some type of timeline. Like as the world evolves and as like more plant-based things become available to me, like I'm always gonna choose that option, and like that's always gonna be my first choice in like what I gear for and how I shop and where I put my dollars. But I'm not going to hold myself to that standard of perfection of everything I do and everything I own needs to be vegan, because I just don't think as a society we're there yet. And I also know that I don't want to be a hypocrite. Like I never want to come on here and preach like this perfect vegan lifestyle if I know behind the scenes like that's not really how I'm living or how I'm able to live. Because I think a lot of people online are like honestly kind of front, and like I see like, not to say that like it's not possible, like I've known people that are vegan in real life, whatever, but like online I think people post like these perfect food pictures, like, you know, these expensive like bowls and smoothies, and I'm just like, is this what you're really eating like 24/7?
Snap back to real life.
Yeah.
I know a lot of vegans who eat the same thing every day, or I know some vegans who literally eat like the cheapest option that they have,
like chips
eat, like,
and like a sandwich, yeah. And that's not necessarily like ideal, but I know people like that too who don't eat nutritiously.
It's ideal for them.
Yeah,
it's all about finding the best like way for you to be healthy, because it's not the same for everybody. Some people can eat salads all day and then find their way to add and be healthy, and you know what I'm saying, and to live the. But some people can't do that. I can't do that for sure.
I almost never eat salad.
I eat salads at
like
work because we make salads at work, but that's not the point.
Besides the point, yeah. So yeah, I don't think that being vegan is necessarily the goal for everyone, but it is like definitely like, if I look at like, okay, this is what the model of perfection is, like I'm always like fighting to get there, like I'm always fighting to be there. But I also give myself grace if I don't always make it there, and I think that other people should too. I remember I was like talking to someone once in school, and I was like, yeah, you know, I'm like mostly like vegan or like mostly plant-based, whatever I said. And he's like, you can't be like mostly vegan. And I'm like, why not? Like who the fuck made that up? Like who were the people? I don't know if it was like PETA or something, like shout out to PETA, but like I'm like, who made up these rules of like what constitutes, you know, someone identifying as vegan or plant-based? And I think that all these like boxes, like carnivore, pescatarian, whatever, I think they almost like fight against the point, which is to reduce your consumption of animal products so that you can be healthier, but also so that we can maintain the health of our planet, which suffers as we consume too much meat.
The correct term for humans is foodivore, right? That's what, isn't it?
I don't know. Is that a word?
Yeah, foodivore. I think it's like you're supposed to eat like all the food groups, but it's supposed to be in moderation. It's supposed to be like, it's different for every like.
Right, and there definitely has been like, if you look at our you know those food grids we used to have in school, it was like meat, grain, whatever, like those were like, I'm pretty sure were made by like the meat and dairy industries to like convince us that that diet was good for us by like making this food pyramid that like conveniently included a lot of the shit that they sold. So you know, all of us have started from that place of like, this is what we've grown up and been like pushed to think is like healthy and good. So you got to remember, like, we're all on the journey like breaking away from that. If you live in America, I don't know about the rest of the world, but in America, we're on the journey of breaking away from that idea that like these foods on TV and in magazines and on the food grids were the healthy foods. You know, the only reason we ever thought that way is because those companies were lobbying for that message to be pushed out. Right. So, you know, we really gotta have a lot more like humility and understanding of where people are coming from and where we're trying to go as a collective. And the more inclusive we are, the more grace we give to people, the further we get to our goal. Because if we had 5 people that were eating, like say carnivores, like just eating like meat and dairy, you know, and even if they changed half of their diet to a plant-based diet. Like, they already have such a huge impact on the environment, like such a huge impact on their health just for making the change of cutting it in half. Like, is it perfect? No. Is it ideal? Maybe not, but it's better than nothing. And it gets us closer to that goal as a society than saying, oh, well, if you're not perfectly vegan, then just don't eat plant-based at all. That's pushing us further away from the collective goal, I believe.
What she said.
Anything else you want to add?
Nah, pretty much. Well, you rounded that up.
All right. Well, I'm glad that we had this discussion. This is definitely opening up a dialogue. So please, guys, like, whatever your feelings are, put them down in the comments below. Please be kind to us and to each other. We don't want this to become negative. I will block a bitch if I need to, let me tell you.
I mean, let us know, comment, because if you don't comment, we don't know what
how you're
think,
feeling. But if you guys like videos like this, if you want more discussions about the plant-based vegan community, we are happy to do it. So again, engage in the comments down below. Tell us your feelings on the topic. All we ask is that you be kind to each other.
And if you like that, subscribe.
Yes, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We are coming out with much more awesome content down the road, and we wouldn't want you to miss it. So,
Bust that.
Thanks for watching.